I know only one person who set a Guinness World Record at age 66 by swimming across the Catalina Island Channel, and that is Deborah Gardner. She's even been hailed as the pit bull in a skirt by major Fortune 500 companies. And as we explore what's possible at mid-career or the halftime of life, it's important to remember that you don't need to set a world record to create meaningful change, but you do need clear, measurable goals with a strong purpose. So today I am thrilled to interview my friend and colleague, Deborah, who not only conquers open water, but also helps organizations and professionals rise to new heights with action, focus, and success. So stay tuned. Power of After is for you at mid-career, halftime of life, helping you maximize your skills, resources, and experience. We have courses, products, and help to make this stage of your life your best and most purposeful ever. Don't miss a single article, free download, or podcast. Get all the latest at goalsforyourlife.com/newsletter. Now, let's dive into today's episode. Well, I'm so excited to have you here, Deborah Gardner in Arizona. So you are in like warm weather. I'm in cool weather. So you've got your, it's so fun to watch. If you're watching the video, you'll see me in the turtleneck and you in another. But it's been a long time, since we've seen each other and really it's spoken. But we have a great name,
Yes,
Deborah. Yes. So I like to get my guests, I've given you a little bit of an intro for your accolades, but I like my guests to just give a brief intro of your background because you've been swimming your whole life, but you also do other things. So why don't you give a little bit of your background?
I would be delighted. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you so much for having me on your show. I was so excited that I wore perfume. So I wanted to let you know that I've been following you and watching you for a long, long time now. And I'm just so delighted to be here on your show. A very valid question. Everybody's always asking, a little bit of my swimming background more than ever. But it actually started when I was 7 years old, living in one of the hottest cities in America called Yuma, Arizona, where it averages about 120 degrees every day. And so what else was there to do other than to swim? So my siblings and I, that's what we did. And we lived in a 16-foot aristocrat trailer. So it kind of kept us out of the trailer and into, the sunshine and the pool. So we pretty much lived at the pool for a number of years and ended up going to Arizona State University to college there and swimming for the Sun Devils as well. And then, headed into the corporate world, which happened to be the hospitality industry for a number of years. And now a professional speaker and author of 6 books, working on my 7th right now, and enjoying the new Deborah G, that it lives actually out into the open water swimming world.
Amazing. And I remember when I was president of our speaking chapter in LA, bringing you in as a speaker, and it didn't matter where you were traveling, you swam that morning. I mean, you were swimming every day. And I just still remember, boy, that's something.
Well, it's easy to travel with. All I need is my suit, cap, and goggles and water. So it doesn't matter if it's a hotel pool or the ocean, which I was always excited to come to LA for. You're right. I remember that. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And I always think, oh, it's the hair. You got to deal with the hair, after you go swimming. Anyway, but you got way past that. Well, so you've been swimming pretty much your whole life, I would say. How great. And now the thing is, you are at 66, a new Guinness World Record holder. I mean, wow. I mean, you gave this statistic. There are fewer of those people that have swum the Catalina Channel that have climbed Mount Everest. Is that true?
Yeah, crazy, right?
That is crazy.
Yeah.
And,
It's so surreal because I really didn't know about the record until like a couple weeks before my swim. But the Catalina Federation, let me know about it, and I mean, I'm like, okay, add more pressure.
yes.
But I didn't do the swim for the record. It was just that was a bonus opportunity. You know, sometimes when you let the door open, other things come flowing in, and that was one of them. But
Mhm.
yeah, I was number 844 since, gosh, 1927. And so there's been less than 900 people that have swam Catalina Island compared to Mount Everest. And Mount Everest, you know, they have, you know, the whole gear, the oxygen tank, the cute parkas.
Yeah.
Again, all I have is a swimsuit, cap, and goggles. So I'm pretty proud of
Mm.
this desert rat coming from Yuma, Arizona to all the way to, you know, to the ocean world. But yeah, totally different sports. Certainly would not want to climb Mount Everest. It's cold enough. I'm swimming, you know, in 52 to 69-degree water.
I tell you, and from where you live, even
Yeah,
Southern California, I have a turtleneck on. I would not do well either.
exactly.
And you, when you described this to me, it's like 66 years and 72 days. I mean, it
Right.
is so
Yeah.
specific. And the
Yeah.
fun thing is that you are, I call this mid-career, halftime of life. Halftime of life goes on farther than we think because lifespan has expanded. And, you know, there's nothing to be, you know, embarrassed about or anything when we now share our age. I'm sharing my age a little bit more. I'm not going to share it right now, but, but, you know, I'm at a point of my life, and that's why I help others at this point, mid-career, halftime of life, because all of a sudden you want to define your lifestyle. You want to define your goals, and you defined a huge goal, a huge goal. And that is something I would never do. I mean, it took me like 4 tries to pass tadpoles. I mean, I am just not a natural swimmer. So, and I just never, I mean, I learned to swim, but you know, it's just not something I've had, you know, piano though, put me to piano. I'll be there for all day. But anyway, this was an ambitious goal for you. So how did you go about setting this without being like intimidated or overwhelmed, or did you do step by step in training? What happened? What did you do?
Yeah, great question because, and I get this a lot because people are like, you know, where do you even start? For me, I never got the accomplishment feel of my full potential in the pool water. There were always so much better swimmers in the lane next to me that my self belief was just not there. So I knew I had to change lanes and try something new and different. But first, I actually quit swimming for about 10 years, literally quit. And a lot of people are like, you know, if you quit, you're a failure. I don't believe that. I believe sometimes you have to stop in your tracks and
Mhm.
just kind of reset yourself and kind of think about what you want to do differently. So
Mhm.
I'm not afraid to quit. I'm not afraid to fail. I think it's part of the process. It should be part of the strategy. If you're not satisfied where you are, you need to stop and really just think about what it is that you really want to do or how you're going to go back and do something differently. So that's kind of what I did. I took about 10 years off, totally hung up the goggles and
Mhm.
just said enough is enough. And then when I got introduced by a mentor of mine to open water swimming, it was a whole different environment. I really loved it. I fell in love with swimming all over
Ah.
again, even though I had salt water in my mouth and I have to fight the waves and whatever sea creatures are below me. To me, I took it on as a challenge. And
Ah.
I thought, okay, you know, I'm newly experienced in open water. So I entered some events and I'm like, this is still not enough. I need something that's going to scare the living daylights out of me. And so that's when I decided, okay, I'm going to try the solo Catalina. But first, I did the relay. So the key here is to chop up your goals in small wins. So I did a relay first, which took me about 3 years to do.
Mm.
The first year, I didn't, you know, when I signed up for it, I didn't realize how expensive this sport was.
Wow.
The second year, I contracted valley fever the week before our launch, so they had to find an alternate. And so the third year, I finally got to try it, and it still wasn't enough. So
Wow.
I said, okay, that solo, I got to commit to that solo and started training for it. I have 4 different coaches, and one of them is a workout coach and who has done Catalina channel before. So I knew she knew how it all works. So I relied on her workouts. I relied on my nutrition coach, my pool coach, my ocean coach. And so I had to just kind of put all that type of training and rely on the experts. And by golly, they pulled me through on it.
Wow, how fun. I like that you defined what was really important. That you came to, it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. It wasn't just right. And sometimes when we are at this stage of our life and setting our goals and we're thinking what sort of lifestyle I want, what sort of business I want,
Right.
it's not quite right. It's not quite right. We still need, because sometimes you think it's one and done. Let's get some coaching. We one and done. It's
Right.
it's a journey.
Right.
And as much as I'm a creator, so as much as I'm constantly, redoing and I'm very, very self-motivated. But there's a lot of stuff that you go through in your guidance to this and your ability to be guided through this and knowing that the group thing just wasn't going to cut it. You really needed to do the solo. Boy, doing the solo, it's like standing on that stage all by yourself. There is
Yes.
no help.
Yes.
Anything and everything can go wrong for
Right.
anything. The lights can go out,
Right.
the mics can go out, everything can go wrong. The audience can leave. There's a lot of stuff that can happen. So in this, so many vulnerabilities of especially thinking about, all of the stuff, the sharks and everything else are going to be around there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so you just felt like you needed to really do this for yourself. You didn't need to.
Oh,
Yeah. Yes.
absolutely, absolutely. And it was interesting because when I started to let people know what I was going to be doing out on social media and everything, I figured this was going to help me be accountable. And so all the training that I did, literally 20 to 30,000 yards a week of swimming, and that's not including the strength training part of it, no one was watching. And that's where the hard happens. That's where most people struggle with. They don't realize that they need to do this on their own. And
Wow.
it's always when no one's watching. And then the results come. So by the time I got out into the ocean at 10:30 at night when everybody else was home on the couch watching Netflix,
Right.
I'm out there in the pitch black water and sky and night all by myself. But I also had to know that although I was out in the water by myself, I still had my crew. And
Yes.
you never should swim alone, ever. And without my crew, honestly, I could not have finished it. There's just no way. And that crew trained with me quite often throughout the years. And without them, it just wouldn't have been possible. But you're right. You're out there by yourself. And there were times that, the kayaker had to go in and switch with another kayaker after a couple hours. And I was out there by myself. And it's like, what do you do?
Wow.
It comes down to you. Bottom line, any type of action and to know that you might go into your second life or second half of your life, it's like you're the one that has to make it happen.
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time with the word retirement. I don't think I'll ever retire because if you look it up on Google, it means disappear, go away.
Wow.
And I'm just like, I am not going to go there with my second half of my life. And so I feel very blessed that I've found a new way of looking at the sport of swimming.
That's so cool. And I really like the fact that you brought up that what matters is what you do when you're by yourself.
Yes.
And that really does matter.
People have a hard time with that.
They have a hard time. I was just talking with my sister. She's a professional violinist. And we were both commenting how when we practice, we don't like to have anybody around. We just like to be because it's not
That's
always
good.
pretty.
Yeah.
It's not always
Right.
pretty. And
Right.
you need to slow stuff down and it just doesn't people think, oh,
Right.
just be flashy, flashy, flashy. No, it's the drills and it's going back
Exactly.
and over and over. And it doesn't matter what level you're at. You've been at a level of competing and now this was a little bit different. So when you change it a little bit,
Right.
it's a whole different thing. It's a whole different training. And you feel like in many areas, many aspects of it, it's like, okay, am I starting over again? Really?
Right.
Really?
Right.
I mean, especially with ocean water, I would think, and black at night. Oh my gosh. But what I was imagining while you were explaining that, I was thinking, I hope there were times you got to look up in that water and just to see the night sky and what you would see in the ocean would be probably magnificent.
It was, Deborah. As a matter of fact, the best way for me to describe it is that it was a full supermoon that night,
Oh,
which meant about 2 to 3 foot swells that I did not want to admit until it happened. And so when the only way, I mean, the technique, my technique and skills went out the window because the waves were pushing me so many different ways. I felt like I was in a dishwasher on
oh
rage
gosh.
cycle. And every swell that came to me, it was slapping me in the face on both sides. And the only way I can breathe was really to turn my head as far as I could. But when I did that, the moon was above me and I got to
Ah.
see it over and over and over. And here I am, swimming
Mhm.
between the boat and the kayak. The job of the swimmer is to follow the kayak. The kayak's job is to follow the boat. And they were all decorated in these green and red and blue lights. It was like a Christmas parade, It was like I was just like in a float parade going down the channel. And from that angle and then looking up at the moon, every breath that I took was almost like a gift for having those swells, because without the swells, I would have only been able, I would have breathed normally, which, you have half the water in your mouth and half not. So, but because of the swells, I really turned my head to see that moon, and I was starting to enjoy it. I was like, okay, I'm going to look
Wow.
at it this way. I'm going to look at it this way. And as it was moving, I was watching that whole process, and it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful overall, except for being slapped in the face so many times. So much I got an ear infection the next day.
Oh my god, I can imagine. I can just oh gosh. But what a great principle of just without getting slapped in the face and having to go through that, you wouldn't have had that chance to see the moon like every single
Right,
breath.
right,
And that
right.
just that
Well,
full
I was trying to enjoy it because there was one boat that was going across us and it was all lit up, literally lit up. I go, "Oh, okay. I know that's a cruise ship." And I said, "I
yeah.
bet they're on there partying their butts off. They're
Yes.
drinking, they're dancing, they're having a great time, and I'm out here in the middle of
Freeze.
the ocean." And even though my party's not like theirs, I bet
Yeah.
they're not out here and getting the perspective that I'm getting, that no one could get except myself. And it
Mm,
just, I was trying to enjoy it because the waves were just like so pushing me so many different directions. But
mm.
I ended up really going, okay, they have their party. I'm going to have my
And
party.
my party. Yeah. And you said it took, like, how long? Like, 21 hours?
Well, my goal was no, it was 21 miles,
Oh, 21
um,
miles. Okay.
from
How many
Catalina Island
okay,
to the California mainland,
okay,
mainly the San Pedro area where the boat
okay.
is docked. But my goal was to be in the 12th hour because
12
I've
hour.
been I've
Okay,
been
that's
watching the
different.
swimmers. I paced a couple of them all summer long to where they were having water temps of like 70 to 73 degrees, and it was just all glass
Yeah.
all summer long until my swim.
Until your swim.
The moon caused all that, right?
Mm.
66 degrees. So my goal was to try to get it into the 12th hour, but because of the swells and everything, it turned out to be 13 hours, 5 minutes, and 12 seconds.
Okay.
the exact time. Yeah.
Okay. That's very, very, very specific. That's great.
Almost got there, but just missed it.
Now, when you would have some of the naysayers, I'm sure, saying, "Oh, this is dangerous. What are you doing? What are you thinking of? Are you going to really make this?" I mean, I'm sure because I've had that enough, even in, you know, as I've expanded my career, I've had enough naysayers saying, "Really, what are you thinking?" You could, but I can't imagine. You've got sharks, you've got all of these things that you have to deal with in those black waters. It's
Yeah.
good to know that you had those. You have some guides along with you. You have to, for
Yeah.
safety reasons. But
Right.
what did you say to them? And did that affect you with thinking like, oh, really, really, what am I thinking? I mean, what are those? I'm sure you went. I'm sure you thought about that. I mean, I would have.
Oh, yeah. My family in particular was like, "Deborah, I know you're crazy, but this is insane.
Yeah.
Why would you wanna do this?" And I think what it is it's education. A lot of people aren't familiar with the sport. It's not
Yes.
something you see, on the Olympics and things like that.
Right. Right.
So once I educated myself on the ratio of a shark, attacking and
Hmm.
things like that, and surviving the cold and finishing and things like that.
Hmm.
You have to do your homework. You have to do your
Yeah.
research. When there's something that you want to do, you can back it up when you've got some naysayers. And I had plenty of naysayers.
Yeah.
But the thing about naysayers is, I have a tendency to rebel.
Yeah.
When people zig, I zag. I do it all the time, and it's the only way for me to stand out. I might look silly, I might be embarrassed by, not completing a task or a project or something, but I'll always take the risk, and not follow others, and so I always just have 2 words for them, and that is, "Watch me. Watch
Yeah.
me.
Oh, I love that. I love
Watch
that.
me. I'm gonna do it." And so the more
Right.
naysayers I had, the more I was gonna do it.
Yeah, well, and you've been described as a pit bull in a skirt, so that really says a lot of that. But I like the watch me attitude because that's exactly why retirement is not an option. I've told many people. I said, I'm never going to retire. My business will change somewhat because now I'm wanting to travel more with my husband and do business a lot more virtually, which I can do anywhere. And I've
Right.
set it up that way. I've written the books about it. I've done that. So, but again, you get those naysayers that think, how are you really doing? All of these sort of
Right.
things. And so
Right.
anyway, that's
Right.
and I have a
Yeah.
lot of those questions too, because I'm sure people are listening to this and going, yeah, but wasn't the water cold? And how did you didn't eat? And what time did you leave? And were you hungry? And, how did you pee? All of those things. I mean, I'm sure it's an ocean water, a lot of salt, probably, you're probably fine. But so what is
Yep.
some of those specifics? Because that's in education and finding out about all of that, because that's a long stretch for you.
It is, especially for me because I love food. I love
Me too.
food. I can't
Yeah.
go 12 hours, 13 hours without eating at
No,
all.
I can't either.
But you're right. You have to plan things. It's a whole planning process. And coming from the hospitality industry,
Yeah.
I love to plan. So I'm doing this a year out on my feeds, and you have to experiment as well. And experiment, things that you haven't tried before, things that you've always wanted to try before. You gotta experience and experiment anything in life that you want to do, because that's the only way you can find out. My thing is, if you haven't tried it, you have no opinion. If
Yeah.
you haven't had firsthand experience, you have no
Yeah.
opinion. So unless you've tried it, then
Mhm.
then you can, talk
Yeah.
and some with some wisdom behind it.
Mhm.
Um, but my feeds were an experiment that was probably the hardest for me, because there's so many different products out there,
Yeah.
that the running world, the swimming world has. And so I was able to discover a liquid feed that
Mhm.
was working for me, but I also had food as backup, thinking I was going to be really hungry. I had mashed potatoes, I had baby food, I had peaches, anything that would go down real quick and easy. Because when you have your feeds, which happened every 30 minutes, in order to keep up the calories that you're burning, you're literally burning 12 to 1400 calories in a half hour. And so you have to replace that really quick.
Right.
If not, you're just running on your fat, and that eventually you'll become weak and you can end up with hypothermia and they have to pull you out. So
Yeah.
your feeds is the most important part.
Wow.
But I never got to the solid foods. I only relied on the liquids and the gels that they gave me, and hot chocolate. They gave me hot chocolate because my feeds had to be really warm to keep my core warm, because of it was 66 degrees, and to be in it that long, you can end up with hypothermia. So the warm liquid feeds really help. So every 30 minutes, and to also see that you're functioning, they give you so often a five finger test. They'll hold up, like maybe 3 fingers, and you've got to give the fingers of what equals 5. So I have to answer back 2. So that kind of lets them know you're still coherent.
Yes.
But the other one is peeing. Yeah, I mean, you
Yes.
gotta pee, right?
Of
Especially if
course.
I've had that much liquids, and I'm
I
used to
know.
peeing since I
Yeah.
was 7 years old in the pool. Everybody
Uh-huh.
peed. Pool, if you don't admit that, then there's something wrong. So I've had plenty of practice. I am a pee pro, let me tell you. I know how to pee. But the observers on the boat, there's 2 of them, 2 pilots, there's 2 of everybody. And so they're always asking, at
Yes.
least every other feed, are you peeing? The Europeans say, are you weeing? But if you have to let them know you're peeing, and that way they know your bodily functions are working. So there's a couple tests that they put on us, but peeing is one that you have to make sure you're doing.
Wow, wow. Well, interesting though, too, because about the feeding, because yeah, I mean, like every 2 hours I'm looking for something and,
Yeah, that's true.
grazing, I'm eating all day. Um, and I have friends that say, "I can't believe you eat that much. I can't believe I'd be," but it's because my metabolism is used to it. That's exactly what
Yeah,
I'm.
but let me tell you,
Yeah,
afterward, I was so hungry.
I bet.
It was surprising that I was able to last that long, but it kept me full. But I was so
Mhm.
hungry,
I
but I
bet.
still couldn't eat because what happened was the salt water closed up my throat and my tongue was all white. My mouth was
Oh,
really sore. So I
sting.
couldn't get any food down. So I had to live on milkshakes for a couple of
Oh.
days, which
Oh,
wasn't a bad
darn.
thing.
Oh, darn.
You know, so I kind of enjoyed that, but until my throat was able to open up, yeah, I couldn't have my favorite
Oh,
pizza.
yeah. So, what time did you actually start in the evening? I'm assuming you did evening because you told me it was dark or it was black. Okay, so when did you start, and then when did you arrive? Just that because you would swim all night, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah, I'm heading to do the Triple Crown, which is the English Channel, Manhattan, 20 Bridges, and Catalina. And Catalina was my first, and I always heard that Catalina was the hardest, and the reason why is because you're mostly swimming at night. So
Mm.
now I got the hardest one out of the way,
Wow.
apparently. But the boat docked against what is called Doctor's Cove at
Mhm.
10:30. So I was probably in the water about 11:05. I've got the log around here somewhere, but I think it was like 11:05. And then 13 hours later, about 12:15, somewhere around there in the afternoon is when I finished. And that was another cove called Smuggler's Cove,
Mhm.
up against San Pedro's, where
Wow.
most of them land it there.
Gosh. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
It was pretty surreal, I have to tell you, Deborah. And sometimes there were times that I wanted to quit. There's no doubt. I'm just like, what am I doing out here? I am just being slapped around left and right.
Uh,
But what kept me going was, and
mhm.
I'm very one of those lucky swimmers that can swim and breathe on both sides laterally. Um, which not too many swimmers can do. And so for me to do that, I was able to look at my kayaker that was watching me the whole time and my boat crew working all night long. I can see them because the moon was pretty bright, surprisingly. And I thought, I can't quit now.
Yeah, you're
My
letting them
crew's
down.
depending on me. It's a
Yes.
12-person crew. It's like, I don't want to disappoint them. So I kept going, okay, Deborah, just one feed to the next. And that was my goal, just from feed to feed to feed, just make another 30 minutes, another 30 minutes. And
Oh.
yeah, that before I knew it, the sun was starting to come up. So that was encouraging.
I like that illustration. I'm very, very visual. So, like from feed to feed, and seeing the moon with every like breath that you take, and then seeing the support on both sides, and knowing, you got this. So there's, when those thoughts are coming in, and I can't imagine how many because I mean, 66 degrees. It has to be bath water for me to get in. Jacuzzis are good. So that's cold. So, when you're at that point with that mindset, but when you're thinking from feed to feed, that's doable. When you're thinking of little steps in a goal, and that's exactly how the tiny steps and all of those new habits, I'm big on that. And that's what I've taught for years now.
Yeah.
Goals for your life, the goal, just those little tiny, take the tiny steps. And believe me, they end up being large by the time they're end. I mean, every album projects I've done, just little things. Oh, got to do tweak, 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 and pretty soon it's done. And then you have to release it. But it's just those little tiny steps. The practice, the going into concerto competitions, huge competitions that I was in. It's little tiny little steps. Going through those, and sometimes all alone when you're, of course, training. I loved that.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. You're right, because when I think of 21 miles, that is overwhelming. That is just, I can't even think about practicing and training for that. So I had to do exactly what you said, is just take one step, one little teeny bit, little wins. And because a big goal is just a lot of, little steps stacked on each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't even get to a 10-hour practice because it was just so massive
Overwhelming.
for me to be
Yes.
out in the ocean for 10 hours, let alone knowing I was going to do this solo. So for me to even try to train up to 10 hours, which is what's recommended, was too big for me. So I had to stay within the 4 to 6 to 8 hour training side of it, because I figured the more back-to-backs I did there, that would stack up to that one big goal. And that's the result I got.
Yes.
I was able to finish because of that. And I think so many people put so much pressure on themselves, thinking, "Oh gosh, I've got to make so much money a year."
Of course.
That's too much pressure.
Too much.
So
yes. Enjoy what
way
you
too
do.
much.
Love what you do. And especially at this time of our life, I tell you. And there are so many great principles we were talking about. I hope there is an article that is coming out with this. So I want to make sure everybody gets that article, because you will have many of these principles in there that you can just download and post on your mirror, and apply them to your life. I think that's really, really important, because part of what is important to me in my business is encouraging people to not quit. Just keep going, keep going, keep going. People quit.
Right.
They just quit. They quit too soon. Quit way too soon. There's so many historical examples for this too. We don't need to go into all of those, but way too soon. But you didn't. You kept going. You had a good team. You knew what you had. You knew what your ability was.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad it wasn't 21 hours. I was really, when I came into this, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, oh my God. And that's like a superwoman here. I mean, my gosh, how do you do that? So yeah, but 21 miles, that is, I mean, you're a fast swimmer then too, to be able to accomplish that, in that many hours.
I was able to, apparently, I was able to beat the previous winner by 2.5 hours, I think it was.
Wow.
And she's a bit younger than me. So I do have a fast pace. As a matter of fact, when I first started out, my arm count was 74 times per minute. And even my kayaker at the first feed was saying, "Deborah, you got to slow that down. You got to slow that down, because if not, you're not going to finish. We're going to have to pull you, because it's just, you're going to burn out." So we slowed it down to 64 arm strokes a minute, and that was more my pace. And yet that's still pretty fast, but I also had a goal to finish
To
this
finish. Yes,
in a
yes.
particular amount of time. But I like to swim fast. That's why I still do pool races. I believe that's where you learn your speed is in the pool,
Yes.
and open water you learn other things. So it's
Yeah.
kind of nice to combine it all together, and you pick up new techniques and skills from each. And that's why you want to diversify, what you do in your life too, and try new things, because you just
Yeah.
never know what you're going to learn, not just from doing other things, but from other people. Like I've learned so much from the open water swimming community compared to the pool swimming community. So, you have to expand your horizons and try something new and different. And especially, that second part of your life, it's go time. It's try, get out
it
there
is go time. Exactly.
try new things.
Because there will come a point where it stops. So, but there's go time. And I liked that you listened to the advice, because sometimes we think, oh no, I got this, and that pride sets in. And, that you listened, even though you were extremely experienced and you continued swimming your whole life, except for those 10 years, but competitively 10 years. But there's still that continued, training and in the sport. So
yeah. And I like the way you said, taking advice is really important, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to follow it all either. I mean, I was like a sponge because this was so new to me. I was like, give me some more wisdom. I want to learn. But there were things that when I do this again, I will definitely do some different things. One was I was always told to gain about 10 to 15 pounds, because then you're buoyant on top of the water. You can swim on top of the water, not through the water. Well, I found that my body does not function well when I've got 10 to 15 pounds extra on me. And now at my age, I'm trying to get it off.
Yes, of course. It's harder to get off than on.
But I went all in with advice, let me tell you, and there's nothing wrong with that. But next time I'll probably do something, a little different now that I've gotten a little bit more wisdom.
Yes. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned the Triple Crown. Okay, so my next little question is like, what's next? And I'm sure you're still in the hospitality industry too, and you're speaking and everything else, but what's next for you for swimming, and what will you be training for? What is your time frame? Or do you even know what your time frame is? You're just finishing this, you're probably going, okay, give me a break. Give me a little bit of time off. Yeah.
Well, it's a new year, and I'm very excited to, try something new and different. There's the Triple Crown is something I'm eyeing for sure. I've got my coaches, we're talking about it. They love the fact that I did the Guinness Book of World Records. So they're kind of coordinating my channel swims, my upcoming ones, to coordinate with that, to kind of make it more interesting. So we don't have an actual channel scheduled yet. We should in the next couple weeks, but everybody will definitely hear about it, as I love to share on social media, to hold myself accountable, and just to share my journey with others. But yeah, the Triple Crown is a goal. But my ultimate goal is to get a tattoo of the Triple Crown. That's my ultimate goal.
Wow. Okay.
That's what I've wanted for a long time. And I'm not a tattoo type of person, but I want the Triple Crown tattoo. And so that's my ultimate goal.
That's really fun. That was unexpected. That's really funny. Isn't it funny how we little things?
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I just
So nothing's stitched in stone yet, but I'm leaving that up to my coaches to tell me which is next. And once we do, we'll get the boat confirmed and go through the whole federation rules, which, the medical reports, all the witness events reports. It's a process. It really is.
I'm sure.
I got to get the sponsors back in play. And
oh my gosh. I mean, there's a lot to it with your sponsorship. It's expensive. Any sport is expensive, but here you're in a solo one, which is even more.
Yep.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm still laughing about the tattoo. Most people, I want the big trophy. But what I know about trophies is they get thrown
Yeah.
away when you're gone. So, but the Triple Crown, you can enjoy that every single day.
Right.
That's pretty fun.
But the thing is, I'm not done. And just
No.
because I'm 66, 72 days to officially to have the record, I'm not done. I mean, I'm just getting started. It's not a one and
It's
done
fun.
thing. And
It's
I've
fun.
seen the results. And
Mhm.
when you see the results, it's like, all right,
Yeah.
bring on some more. Let's do this again. This was fun. So,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
encourage other people, when you find the thing that you like to do, it's just so much more motivating, and the inspiration that this has helped other people has just been amazing. It's something I just did not expect. And people from all over the world are just so enjoying this journey. And I just want to continue to take people on it, and hopefully find out what they want to do at the same
Yes.
time. So if I can do it, anyone can do it.
Yeah. Oh, what a great, great way. Well, as we close, I would like you to give maybe a one sentence or one little a word of closing advice for those that are at this point of life, mid-career, halftime of life, thinking what's next. And then, of course, give the information how we can connect to you. And all those links will be in the show notes, and they'll be also in the article. So just everybody knows that. But what encouragement can you leave to our listeners today?
One thing that I'd like to say is that, 70 to 80% of people are just treading water, and a lot of things are holding them back. I really believe it's mostly a mindset. When I dove into that water, which was sheer terror, I knew what my body was going to do. But so I had to switch gears and really rely on my mindset, my mentality. Your body follows your mind. Your mind is the boss. And if we
Yes.
only would really look at the fact that we are very strong in our mindset and listen to our mindset, and really, even if it's just affirmations. I had tons and tons of signs that my crew would hold up that would help motivate me. It's the same thing as putting a sticky on the refrigerator, just to remind yourself that you are worthy, and self-belief and self-mojo is there. And you can do whatever you want to do. You just have to want to do it.
Yes.
You have to want it. If you're not doing it, you don't want it bad enough. And I made the impossible possible. And again, if I can do it, anyone can. So I would love to hear other people's dreams, goals, and passions. All they have to do is email me, Deborah@DeborahGardner.com, or my new website just launched, DeborahGardner.com, and my new book will be out, my seventh, called Own Your Lane. And if
Love that.
you want to own your lane,
Mhm.
you got to do what you want to do and do
Ah,
it.
That's so fun. Well, I hope everybody does connect with you. And just for all of our listeners, again, get the articles, goalsforyourlife.com/newsletter. They come every week, and I give you all my social media links as well. But love to connect. And just what a great conversation. Thank you so much, Deborah.
It's been a pleasure. I've had
Yeah.
so much fun with you. You're fantastic, amazing, and I always loved your show. So
Uh,
thank you.
Well, thank you for taking the time to do this, your schedule, and I know it's probably been just kind of overwhelming all at first with all the, the accolades and everything. But how fun! Staying humble, that you have some other goals and that you're looking ahead. I think that's just really, really important. You're not going to be sitting still. You are going to be somewhere swimming. So yeah,
Yep,
and
I'm going to
working.
be
So yes.
lapping all those that are sitting on the couch. So
Yes,
hopefully
that's
you're
right.
not sitting on the couch.
Yeah, I love that. Well, thanks again, Deborah, and thank you all for joining us today. This has been such a great time, and I will look forward to seeing everyone again next time. So bye-bye for now. Thanks so much for spending time with me today. I love bringing you insights to help you maximize your skills, resources, and experience at mid-career and beyond. so that you can make your next chapter your most impactful and purposeful yet. I'm Deborah Johnson, and I can't wait to be with you again next time on the Power of After show.